Amid the fabled hills of Judea in Southwest Asia stands Jerusalem, the capital of Palestine, sacred to three of the world's great religions. To Mohammedans, who ruled Palestine for nearly 13 centuries and still regard it as their own, Jerusalem is almost as sacred as Mecca. On the new Palestine, with its shining city of Tel Aviv. After Lord Allenby conquered the Holy Land in 1917, the Jews were promised a national home in Palestine by Britain's Earl of Balfour, a policy endorsed by Woodrow Wilson and the League of Nations, which made Palestine a British mandate. But in 1939, with war in the offing, the oil pipeline from Iraq through Palestine became one of Britain's major strategic worries, along with the Suez Canal, the empire's lifeline to the Far East. To ensure an uninterrupted supply of oil for its planes, tanks, and ships, Britain had to maintain peace at all costs with the predominantly Arab population, which had long been resentful of Jewish immigration. To this end, London issued a white paper which strictly limited the number of Jews admitted into Palestine. In the war years that followed, only a few thousand of Europe's millions of unhappy Jews were able to escape the fascist tyranny and seek refuge in Palestine. By the war's end, hundreds of thousands of survivors, without homes or possessions, faced a future without hope, unless some place on earth could be found for them. To Europe's surviving Jews, free access to Palestine, their land of promise, is today more urgently needed than at any time in the long and tragic history of the people of Israel. Convinced that the excuse for keeping Palestine closed had ended with the war, the Jews of America brought strong pressure to bear on Britain.
This conference urges the British government to abrogate the policy set out in the White Paper of 1939 and to open Palestine to unrestricted Jewish immigration and resettlement.
Refugee Jews able to get to Palestine find there a community to a large extent self-governing. Palestine's prosperity is reflected in Tel Aviv's own stock exchange. The waters of the River Jordan supply the main source of power for scores of Palestine's industrial establishments. Though Palestine is still predominantly Arab, the Jewish population increased greatly from the early 20s until 1940. Since that time, as a result of British immigration restrictions, the Jewish increase has scarcely kept pace with that of the Arabs. Side by side with the Jewish population, the Arabs, outnumbering them 2 to 1, live in their immemorial manner. Nevertheless, the Arabs are determined to keep Palestine an Arab country and to resist every move by Britain to admit more refugees. And their threats are backed up by the League of Arab States. Repeatedly, the London spokesman for the Arab states has warned Britain's government that its policy is not acceptable to the Arabs.
Every Jew that arrives in Palestine is one more brick in the structure of the proposed Zionist state, one more unit towards the Zionist majority against the Arabs, so that it is impossible for the Arabs to regard the matter only in its humanitarian aspect. The political question was finally settled by the White Paper, and any attempt to force more refugees on Palestine now.
But the Jews, whose arguments for a free Palestine before the war were strong, are sure that they now have an irresistible case. Today, the quota under which refugees from Europe can enter Palestine is the concern of Jews the world over, and they fervently hope that in the future, all Jews who wish to will be permitted to enter Palestine.
Apparently, it was used as a passage from Turkey to Egypt via Israel. To the most part, this railway was used to ship caravans and supplies for British soldiers. But during the darkest days of history, in the Second World War, this railroad was used to smuggle in Jews from Europe into Israel. And as a result, many Jewish lives were saved.
Largest illegal immigrant ship to date, the American vessel President Warfield, renamed Exodus 1947, arrives in Haifa with nearly 5,000 on board. Tear gas, Smoke bombs and other weapons were used against the British boarding party before the ship's captain agreed to be escorted into harbour. British casualties included members of the Palestine police, while wounded immigrants were given medical care before being transferred to other ships. Another proof of the need for speedy and definite agreement on an international problem.
النكبة الثانية عن طريق هدى تقول النكبة الثانية מחנה פליטים תקום انت ودينك مسخرة ومسخرة
ערבי טוב, ערבי בקבר
ערבי בבן זונה יהודי בנשמה
ערבי בבן זונה
שהוא ירביץ עם הדגל, לא דיברתי. זה הגזע. אני יודע.
הבית שלנו. פהם עליי, בית שלנו. מוות לערבים! מוות לערבים! מוות לערבים!
for apologizing for our support for Israel. There's no apology to be made. None. It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region.
You're such a fucking hoe. I love it. I know you like it more. I love it. I fuck you when I'm bored. I love it. I promise she's a whore. I know she like it for me. I'm a flyer like Aladdin on a pussy golden piercing. Why she did it? Cause she lied. What we do here is all discreet. If you ask me, I know nothing. She knows she like it cause she lied.
כשאני אומרת לכם ירושלים, מה עובר לכם בראש? מה זה ירושלים? בית המקדש.
כותל. מה
כן.
עוד?
מי מאמין שבית המקדש ייבנה בשנים הקרובות? מה יש שם עכשיו על בית המקדש? אז מה יקרה עם המסגד? יישבר? ילד ערבי, מה אתם מרגישים?
רגשות זעם.
זעם? מה קורה כשאתם פוגשים ילד חילוני? למה אתה מרחם עליו כשאני ילד חילוני? מה הוא מפסיד?
הוא לא הולך בדרך הנכונה.
כשאתם חושבים על ירושלים בעוד 10 שנים, כולם חרדים?
לא כולם ערבים, חלק חרדים.
כולם יהודים, ויש גם ערבים שהם עבדים.
תהיה משיח, הבנתי, כן, מה אתה אומר?
שמלחמה כל הערבים ימותו, וחלק מהם יהיו עבדים.
נקבד את כל הסיפור שלנו. ילדים, תודה רבה. תודה רבה. תמשיכו להצליח ולראות אתכם בישיבות.